Welcome to Political and Economic Systems in Global Business. This presentation examines how different political structures and economic frameworks influence the way companies operate, compete, and grow around the world. We'll connect these systems to the broader business environment, focusing on the concepts leaders need to understand when entering markets, managing risk, and making strategic decisions across borders. The central idea is that business success depends not only on what a company offers, but also on how well it understands the environment in which it operates. Political and economic systems are not background conditions. They directly shape how businesses operate and compete across borders. Every major decision, from entering a new market to designing a supply chain, depends on the environment surrounding the company. Political stability influences investment risk and security. Economic systems determine pricing, competition, and the rules governing trade. And regulatory frameworks define what companies can do and how they must do it. Together, these factors make understanding local systems essential for sound global strategy and informed decision-making. Political systems shape more than government structure. They influence who can make decisions, how predictable those decisions are, and the level of freedom available to citizens and businesses. Democracy distributes authority through elected representatives and relies on the rule of law. Authoritarianism concentrates power while allowing limited political participation and civil liberties. Totalitarianism goes further, with one authority controlling both public and private life. In a theocracy, religious principles and law guide governance, closely linking political authority with religion. These distinctions help explain differences in rights, stability, and the business environment. Democracies generally provide businesses with a stable and predictable operating environment. Strong institutions and the rule of law make them especially attractive for foreign direct investment. Independent courts enforce contracts and resolve disputes fairly, while legal protections for physical and intellectual property encourage companies to invest and innovate. Free elections and a free press also support transparency and accountability, helping reduce corruption risks. Countries such as the United States, Germany, Japan, Canada, and the United Kingdom illustrate this business-friendly framework, where clear regulations and protected rights create greater confidence for investors. Totalitarian and authoritarian systems create high-risk environments for multinational companies. In both, businesses may face asset expropriation, sudden or arbitrary regulatory changes, and limited access to independent legal remedies. At the same time, large authoritarian markets, including China and Russia, can remain strategically important because of their scale and economic influence. Operating successfully in these settings requires more than understanding formal laws. Companies must also monitor state priorities, maintain careful political relationships, and remain prepared for rapid shifts in government policy. It is a constant balance between opportunity, exposure, and adaptability. Economic systems describe how a society organizes its economic activity, how resources are allocated, who owns the means of production, and how prices are determined. The key distinction is the balance between private choice and government control. In a market economy, private ownership, competition, and flexible prices guide decisions. A mixed economy combines private enterprise with substantial government involvement. In a command economy, the state directs production, sets prices, and controls distribution. These systems are best understood as points along a spectrum, rather than as completely separate categories. A market economy is capitalism in action, where supply and demand shape prices and determine how resources are allocated. Businesses are privately owned. Competition regulates the marketplace, and limited government intervention allows the profit motive to encourage innovation and efficiency. For companies, this means greater freedom to set prices, enter markets, protect property, and access capital. The model offers strong consumer choice and efficiency, but it can also produce income inequality and market failures. The United States, Hong Kong, Singapore, and the United Kingdom are common examples. A command economy places nearly all major economic decisions in the hands of the central government. The state determines what gets produced, how much is produced, and the prices people pay, while private enterprise is severely restricted or absent. The key feature is state-directed production rather than market competition. Countries associated with this model include North Korea, Cuba, and the historical Soviet Union. Foreign businesses may face extreme barriers or prohibition, and state-set prices can distort supply and demand, making it harder for markets to communicate what consumers and producers actually need. Most countries today use a mixed economy, combining private enterprise with government regulation, public services, and in some cases, state ownership. The key difference is the balance between market forces and government involvement. Nordic countries, such as Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, emphasize strong welfare systems, higher taxes, and generous public services. China represents state capitalism, where private businesses operate alongside dominant state-owned enterprises and substantial party influence. The United States follows a more regulated market model, relying mainly on private markets while using antitrust rules, environmental standards, and social safety nets. Political and economic systems should never be evaluated separately. Together, they define the operating environment for international business. A company considering global expansion needs to examine both dimensions at the same time. For example, a democratic country with significant state intervention may create as many challenges as an authoritarian country with relatively open markets. The most attractive environments often combine democratic governance with market-based or lightly mixed economy. This combination can offer greater predictability while still allowing businesses room to operate and compete. The key message is stay informed and adaptable. Before entering a market, understand its political and economic systems. Then evaluate risks together rather than in isolation. Because systems can change over time, continuous monitoring is essential to keep global strategy aligned with local realities and emerging conditions.